Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. Founded in 2013, the EHL has become the college placement leader on the East Coast. Sit back and learn more about the next step in your junior hockey career.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto, we take care of our own, as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 133 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we turn the corner to the final three Team of the Week features of the offseason. Ryan McGrath joins the podcast as we highlight the Valley Junior Warriors and preview the veteran coach's fourth season in the EHL. McGrath takes time to reflect on the 2021-22 season, including making reference to the tremendous job that Brett Heigl did en route to being named the EHLP Coach of the Year. Further along, the E-Crew gets back together to construct another top 10 list for an original six franchise. I'm joined now by Ryan McGrath, the head coach and GM of the Valley Junior Warriors. How's it going, Ryan?
It's going well, Neil. Yourself?
Doing well. Thank you for coming back on the podcast. We're wrapping up the Team of the Week features this offseason with three final teams, three original teams. You know, we have our own original six, and we have yourself, the Little Flyers, and I guess we can call them the Oilers/Rough Riders left. So let's jump into it, though. And I'll start with the same question I've been asking everyone so far this offseason, and I'll continue with you. When you look back on the 21-22 season, what are the first thoughts that come to mind for you?
Parity. The league had incredible parity. Every day I was blown away by a different score. A team won a game that I didn't think they were going to win, or a team lost a game that I didn't think they would have lost. There was incredible parity in the league, which I thought was awesome.
And look no further than the finish of your season to kind of define that, right? So you win your last game of January, and then every loss that you had in the month of February and into March, including your playoff loss, was by a single goal. When you look back on that stretch, do you kind of kick yourself and wonder, a bounce here, a bounce there, maybe the year finishes in a different spot for you?
Well, yes, how we were 4-0 against the Seahawks and then we lost 3 straight to them. Yes, I do have nightmares about that. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for Bill Zanaboni and the Seahawks, so I love them. I couldn't agree with you more. And you can't really beat yourself up over those things, but those, as coaches, those are the things that do keep us awake at night. A bounce here or a goal here or a save here would have made all the difference. And we get to go another round in the playoffs. And who knows what would have happened. I mean, the 87s were eventually the league champion, and we beat them, in a showcase in a pretty good game, right? So, and it feels like for us 2 years in a row we beat some of the top teams, and we're still haven't been able to make a huge statement in the playoffs. But that's our hill to die on. Yeah,
and It's interesting that whenever I go on the road, I always talk about what our league does so well is they work together. At the top of our website, 1521, our commitment number, that's as a whole. That's not just one program. And another great example of how that works is players moving from team to team and kind of that change of scenery being huge for them. Look no further than Nico Carrera. When he comes over to your team this past year, what did it change for him, and what did it change for the rest of your locker room?
Well, Nico's a quiet, confident kid and young man, and just came in, just no drama, was incredibly grateful, had some great experience. He was very appreciative of his time with the New Hampshire Avalanche and all that he learned from their team and their staff, and just kind of brought that with him, brought that winning attitude with him from the Avs. And it set our mind at ease. Our team all of a sudden understood, they loosened up because they said, if we give up one goal, we're okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe before they were a little tense, or if we gave up a goal, immediately panic set in. And now Nico gave our team a whole new set of confidence.
That's a goaltending example. There's plenty of forward and defenseman examples as well throughout the league. But for future players that are listening that may find themselves in a similar situation where a coach approaches them with a change of scenery opportunity, what would you tell those players that may be kind of nervous about that chance?
Well, every situation's different, right? Like, some kids need to stay and battle through it. And other kids, like, we had a player in Jack Wren who sat down with us and early in the year and just said, "Coach, I love our team here, but as a 20-year-old, I need to play more. And all the left wings on our team are better than me. So I need to go to a different team." And we moved him to Maryland, to help him. Right. And he did, really good down there. So I think for each kid, it's a different situation, but, I don't highly encourage moving or jumping team to team to team, but because I don't think it looks great for college coaches. But I think if you find yourself in a situation where you truly just need a change of scenery, don't be opposed to going to another team in our league, because what one coach looks at you, a different coach may look at you completely different.
100%. And I want to kind of transition now towards your EHLP team. I know this is going to be your fourth year with the Valley Junior Warriors program, but Brett Heigl's third year. To see how far he's brought that EHLP team along, I guess the first question is, are you surprised by what he's done? And did you know that when you initially hired him that he had this potential?
Well, I'd recruited him for a year prior to try to come work for us. And it finally worked out. My whole first year, I was trying to get him to come with us. He's a former Valley Junior Warrior. He's a local guy. And he's just a guy that everyone that gets around him falls in love with him, right? He's so good. He's so caring of his players, and his players, they would kill for him. And I'm not shocked at all. He's brought stability to that team. They went, I forget how many wins they had the year before to go over 20 this year, and he's not happy. He's not happy at all with their playoff performance. He's not happy at all with, that they only moved 5 guys to our EHL team, or 12 during the season, but 5 permanently. Yeah. And he wants more. Yeah. He's so hungry, and he's not going to become complacent. So I'm not shocked at all that this has happened.
When the playoff series takes place the way that it did, it's obviously he's disappointed about that. You just touched on that. How long afterwards were you able to at least say, like, "Hey, Brett, you deserved that Coach of the Year award. Be proud of what you accomplished this past season"? How much time had to pass for you to say that to him?
Well, I said it the second we got on the bus.
Okay.
I was with them in Vermont, and I'm not waiting to tell them. I wasn't going to wait 2 weeks. I wanted him to know right away, and he knew it. And deep down inside, he does understand that it was a great year. But as us coaches, how we're wired, we're never happy. You could win the championship, and you're already thinking about, okay, what do I have to do for next year? Where can we improve? And and our staff is no different. We've spent countless hours trying to improve our process, improve our practices, we did more coaching and teaching this summer than we've ever done before to help prepare our players for hopefully our best season yet.
Was that always the plan, or did that plan come to fruition after the way last season may have possibly ended?
It's always been the plan. When I was able to get this job 4 years ago, I looked at Paul and John Gilmartin, and I said, we're going to make this place the best place to play junior hockey in the East Coast, regardless of league. And, every year we've been able to improve the program, improve the process. And it starts with training. Like, yeah, people will tell you, if you want to be a better hockey coach, get better players. And that's simple, right? You want to win in a Stanley Cup, we'll draft better and train better, right? But you can't always just rely on being an unbelievable recruiter. You can't always rely on recruiting top end players. You have to be able to train. You have to be able to develop from within. So it's always been our plan to make sure that we utilize our resources, our unlimited ice time, our gym, our video, our strength coaches, our goalie coaches, our yoga instructor. We try to surround ourselves with the best available people to give our players the most amount of resources in order to be successful. So and again, we're continuing to try to improve year in and year out.
and you made a huge push this past season on social media. It's been kind of fun for me, at least, to step back and see. I know how hard our teams are competing on the ice, but they're competing just as hard off the ice on social media to be the best. You brought in Zach Needham, a former player. You launched this Living the Dream documentary that I don't think any team in our league had ever thought about before. What did that do for your program this past season?
Well, in recruiting, it's typically one coach telling a player how great their program is and why they have to come, right?
Yeah.
Which we all do. All right. And we try to ask questions. We wanted to find out what the player ultimately, how their academics are, what they want to study. Because, the goal of every one of our teams is to promote kids to the NCAA. But the hardest thing that we do is to show people what we do. Because I can tell someone till I'm blue in the face, well, we have this amount of practice, we have this amount of video, we have this strength coach, we have, this nice hotel that we stay at, and this nice bus company that we use, and, the apparel and the equipment. We can tell people till we're blue in the face, but everyone tells them. So the best way to do that is by showing them. This is what we do. So it was an inside look from behind the scenes. And Zach was adamant with me because this needs to be raw. This needs to be real. You need to be able to speak the way that you normally do. Don't doctor this up to make be who you are. And at first I didn't want any swears. I didn't want any, and not that we have too many of them, but I just didn't want any negative language. And Zach kept saying to me, it needs to be real. And that's some of the best responses I've gotten from parents when I always I really apologize for some of the words that I used, and those are no. There was an episode, I think it was episode 1 or 2, where I go in at halftime against our game against the Apple Corps. And I blast the team and I use some words that I'm not proud of. And I've had hundreds of fathers be like, that's the coach I want my son to play for. That's the guy, you need to bring the best out of my son. And that conversation that you had with your team did that. Now, did we get pretty lucky that we just went out and scored 5 goals in the second half? I mean, I didn't score the goals. I stood on the bench and said, change. The players did the work. But yeah, maybe we lit a fire, when we needed to. So it was great. Zach's very self-taught. It's been cool. It's been awkward at times to see yourself. We're very vulnerable as coaches. We wear our hearts on our sleeve, and sometimes I'll watch these episodes and I'll cringe at the things I say or my reaction or whatnot. It's really hard to, see yourself on film, and now I'm judging myself.
Yeah. No, it's a great thing to bring up because I don't really get to see the coaches behind closed doors that often. When you first put the mic on you, did it make you extra nervous?
It certainly cleaned me up during the games. So I think all the referees in the league really appreciated it. I was nervous because I joke around that I have Tourette's syndrome, so I don't shut up. So maybe I'm perfect for a mic'd up, but so Zach's got hours and hours and hours of coverage of me. But you forget about it after a while.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, it was great for me to see, like I said, the way that our teams have now competed against each other on social media to get the game day graphics up first, or you name it. It's just been a blast. So I know you've listened to all these features throughout the off season. So it's now my turn to put you on the spot before I bring Jeff and Anthony on. Because every week, because we're going into our 10th season, we do our own top 10.
Right.
You haven't been with the Warriors for the entire 9 seasons, but you were recruiting the Warriors as a college coach during that time. So I'm sure there's a bunch of names that you could come up and you could throw at us, and we probably are going to have on the list anyways. But where would you start the Valley Junior Warriors top 10? What player in EHL history do you think needs to start the list?
Oh man, I would say Peter Gentoli from Milwaukee School of Engineering. He put together some pretty impressive numbers. He's actually a player that I tried to recruit to Wentworth, and before I even got a chance to get in there, Andy Hines had let me know that he had, was very close to, committing to MSOE. He would definitely be a guy for me where I would start, prior to my time coming in.
That's a fantastic answer because he's had a great career, I should say, at MSOE. Won a gold medal in the Deaf Olympics. I remember that as well. So a true student athlete. So,
Sure.
hey, perfect answer for us to start with. I know your camp is starting this Sunday. It's crazy how fast the off season came up or went through, I should say. So, good luck with the start of the camp, and I'll probably see you next at the September showcase.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks again to Ryan McGrath coming on the podcast this week. And with that, let's bring in Anthony and Jeff now. Guys, I don't know how it's gone by this fast, but we're down to just 3 top 10s left.
That means the season is coming.
Is that a song?
No, this whole season felt like it's been going on forever.
Right?
Oh, Justin's gonna yell at me for singing, and then we're gonna have to start paying for for rights. Yeah, sorry, no more singing.
No, I agree, Anthony. It's felt like a very long off season. Obviously, the change for the EHL to move away from USA Hockey into a new self-governance model, makes me anxious because it's kind of like, let's just drop the puck again. Like let's just do it. So I agree with you, Anthony. It's felt like this offseason's taken forever because of that, but we have just 3 of these left. As we've said a few times, this week, Warriors, next week, Tom Williams and the Little Flyers. Last week, Rough Riders / Oilers, because they changed their name a few years in. But 3 original 6 franchises. For those that don't know, the Little Flyers, the Warriors, the Rough Riders, along with the Apple Corps, Express, and Rangers are our version of the original 6. Teams that have been in the league every single year since the 2013-14 season. So they have 9 years of history and a 10th coming up this fall. Ryan gave us the first name. He apologized as soon as we hit end record because he missed. He said Peter Gentoli. It's actually Garrett Gentoli. But Jeff, you and I can both get on the same page with Ryan. Like, there's been so many players over the years, so to confuse 2 brothers is not a big deal.
Right,
Especially,
at least there actually is a Peter Gentoli. You didn't just make up a different human,
Yes,
so.
I mean, it's not like, I gotta say, Jeff, the episode when we had the Long Island Dolphins, not the Sharks.
They don't exist. They're not a team yet. But I heard they're up and coming in the next round of D1.
But both Gentolis played juniors here, in mass, so it makes sense. And for Garrett Gentoli, he actually played the very first 2 years I was in the league, 2015-16 and 16-17, 2 seasons with the Valley Junior Warriors, 2 really good seasons. And obviously you could see the progression he had from year 1 to year 2, 14 points in the regular season his first year, 32 the second year, and then got to play 5 full seasons at the Milwaukee School of Engineering, which of course is a phenomenal school academically, but also athletically. I mean, look at the points. He was a double-digit point guy every single season. And then, as I mentioned in the interview with Ryan, the icing on the cake, if you will, for Garrett Gentoli, something I did not know about him when he was in the league, is Garrett is partially deaf as well, and actually played for Team USA in the Deaf Olympics and won a gold medal. So I would say this name that Ryan gave is a phenomenal name to start the list with.
Yeah.
I know Ryan's saying now he said Peter Gentoli, but he meant Garrett. Peter, his brother, just so we can touch on it.
Actually, you know what? Speaking of mixing up 2 players, we have to point this out. Now, this is back when before it became the EHL. But if you look at the all-time scorers for the Valley Junior Warriors, look at number 12 and 13, Mark Johnson, Mark Jackson. And not only that,
oh my God,
both of them played 83 games, 27 goals, 43 assists for 70 points.
Oh my God. Good
now,
catch,
I don't know if that's
that.
just sheer coincidence or if those are both the same players, just enter with different names. So
we have to look into
here we go,
this.
Jeff.
Is this a screw up?
I mean,
Bixby, Oklahoma.
I gotta look into this. It's either
what
a screw up under the same person, or it's 2 different people in their twins, because it's got the same birthday, same town, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say 32, Bixby, Oklahoma.
That has to be double entry then.
Maybe not though. That's a little history project for us then, Anthony. But
got a couple of these on this summer with these elite prospects homework.
yes, but I think it's great that Anthony brings this up, because just like when we had the Apple Core, right? Really, if the Apple Core are the team that has the longest history, outside of the EHL as well and juniors, then the Warriors are the second longest, right? I mean, there's so many names here in the top 10 that are from prior to the EHL.
Yep.
Like I don't recognize half these names, Jeff.
You don't know Joe Cucci, Peter Catalano.
I mean, they're older than us, Jeff.
John Jackson, not Johnny Jackson, Jim Jackson's son, but I made me look for a sec when I saw. I know they are older than us. Andy Hines used to coach this team. Steve Hines' brother, longtime Boston Bruin.
Yep. The
Right
first name,
he was there forever.
The first name in their top 10 that I do recognize as having EHL history is Jimmy Pelton. So I want to make sure to include him because he is actually an EHLP to EHL alum. His EHLP season was with the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs, 15-16, just a solid 68 points that year. Pretty good. And then back to back, this is no typo, Anthony. 18 goal, 20 assist seasons back to back with the Warriors. And then, as we touched on, throughout the entire summer, the UMass Dartmouth pipeline, that's where Jimmy Pelton went and played his 4 years of college. So
I do remember Pelton.
I think he definitely has to be on this list, which gives us 2 forwards so far.
I would say Paul Battusoff, another one. He's from that 16-17, arguably the most talented or most successful Warriors team, right? They had 67 points that season. Battusoff, a centerman. And I believe I actually have seen his brother Michael Battusoff play. They're both from California. Paul's older. He's 26. Mike's 23. He used to play for the Kings a few years ago. And then, like we've been talking about too, as far as successful college careers, played for Salve, scored 15 goals as a freshman, then 20 as a sophomore. That's pretty good, huh, boys? And then captain his third year. Then we had the COVID year, no playing, and then went to Babson last year and put up 22 points. So I'd say Paul Battusoff would be a good addition.
And we've talked about it numerous times on the podcast, this 17-18 Salve Regina team that went to the national championship game. Which had a number of EHL guys. So didn't realize he actually started with Fairbanks in the NA that 15-16 season. So all the way from Fairbanks to Rhode Island for college, and then to south of Boston for his 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul Budasov, let's put him in here, 15 through 17.
I used to call him Battusoff. Budasov?
I mean, don't trust me, Jeff. You know how many game names I've butchered over the years. But Jeff does bring up
like Rake.
Oh God! Oh God!
Already in the Wolves.
But Jeff brings up that 16-17 season for the Warriors, which Budasov was on that team. That year we had 2 conferences. Every year is I feel like it's different, right? But that year we had 2 conferences. One was called the New England Conference. The other one was called the Mid-Atlantic Conference. Each conference had 4-team division. There was one division that had 5 teams. That was the South Division of the New England Conference. That Warriors team was good, man. 32 wins, 13 losses, 3 overtime losses. They beat up on a lot of teams that year.
And is it a coincidence, or it's not a coincidence, that Pelton and Garrett Gentoli were both on that squad we've already thrown on here?
I just remember
equal opportunity scoring team, huh?
Look at
led the way with 50 points. So you have Henderson 40, Pelton 38, Mulikelis 35, Gentoli 32. It's a bunch of guys over 20 points. Even a bunch of guys in the teens, a bunch of guys that were in double-digit points, 11 through 19. That was
So right here, I'm highlighting just the second half of the season, right? From the time they got back from Christmas to the start of the playoffs, they had 18 wins.
Jeez.
That's insane.
Yep.
And the losses, 2 goals, 2 goals, 1 goal. I guess that's a couple 3 goals in there. I guess trivia for Jeff or Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Who did that team get knocked out by in the playoffs?
Is the Bandits?
Nope.
Rangers?
Nope.
Bandits?
Nope.
Already been there. Monarchs?
Got it pulled up now. East Coast Wizards.
Oh,
This was a phenomenal playoff
was
series.
Freddie there yet?
Yes, this was
right? That was
Freddie's second to last year. Wizards won game 1 in overtime. May have even been double overtime. Lost game 2, 4-1, and then won game 3, 3-2. The road team won all 3 games in this series, which I know Haverhill, Mass to Bedford, Mass. It's not really like you're a significant road team because you're traveling 30 minutes max. But I remember
that last line change.
Yes, I remember that playoff series was phenomenal. So those are 3 really good forwards to start with in Garrett Gentoli, Jimmy Pelton, and Paul Battusoff.
I think I've got a 4th that I can toss in.
Let's hear it.
Ooh,
Matt Wiesner.
Yes. So Matt, I think, was around probably some of the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
He played 2015, 2016, because I know the following season, that was when I saw him with the New Jersey Titans in the North American Hockey League.
Yep.
He went on to play for the Northeast Generals in the 17-18 season. He put up 40 points in 57 games. Then he went to Babson College, where he had 4 really good seasons.
23 points, 27 points, 8 points in 8 games. COVID year. It's still a point per game. Pretty damn good. And then 23 points. Yeah, I mean, he was phenomenal that 1 year that we had him in the EHL. 47 points in the regular season, 4 points in the playoffs. Really, he was basically a point per game player almost every year throughout his career. So I wonder, this past season was his 4th year at Babson. There's our next history project. What guys are going back for a 5th year?
Yeah, these COVID years.
I mean, those 4 forwards to start are phenomenal. If we want to make it, why don't we go 2 recent guys to give us 2 solid lines to start?
Yeah, I like that. I was going to say, we've done a good job this year of mixing and matching young and old, bringing together.
Very popular fantasy pick this past year.
Very popular.
By everyone but me, because by the time it was my turn to pick, he was already gone. Let's just make that a point, right?
Speaking of point per game players, too, I'm pretty sure he was a point per game player this year.
Yeah, Billy Hartnett, who came over in the 2020-21 season, actually had a injury towards the end of that year. So for him to recover, it was a knee injury. For him to recover the way that he did, and then come back and put up 38 points this past season, captain of the Warriors this past year, felt like he scored a bunch of big goals.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of big goals. Actually, you know what? We haven't had a story time yet, so it's story time, guys.
Hey.
When I was interviewing Zach Overholzer, who's the new GM of the new team, the Pennsylvania Huntsmen, I did not realize until I came across this picture, because speaking of game winners for Billy Hartnett, I'm not sure if you guys have seen this picture. This picture is phenomenal. So we're at the Newington Showcase. It's Seahawks versus Warriors, which Ryan mentioned in his interview. The Warriors won the first 4 matchups of the year against the Seahawks. The Seahawks won the last 3, including the playoff matchup. But whenever they got together, it was big. The Warriors won this one in overtime in Newington. Billy Hartnett scored the game winner, and he grabbed ice, did the whole celebration, right in front of Zach Overholzer, the new GM of the Pennsylvania Huntsmen.
Hey, there he is.
So Zach has been begging me to get this picture printed and framed and signed by Billy for him, because it was one of the first EHL games that he took in. He came to the Newington Showcase, to meet some of the coaches. And the first game he watched this kid scores the game winner, and the celebration, the picture. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's literally right in front of him.
Was that the Jim McCabe call? Donde está la fiesta? Billy Hartnett.
I think that was the call. Yeah.
Jimbo. I mean that in the best kind of way.
Yes, no, of course. I'm sure if we texted Jim right now, he would call in for us immediately and reenact that exact call if we asked him to.
100%. 100%? What? I can't speak English over here. Yeah, Billy Hartnett, good addition. Wish we got to see him more. Like you said, he went that Living the Dream special that Zach Needham does for them. He profiled, he talked a lot about his shoulder injury, and check that out if you guys haven't seen it on YouTube. I believe they're going into another season? Question mark. I don't know if they're doing it next year, but
Yes.
him and Ryan did a nice job with that. It's a nice little ad for as each team each year tries to compete with the next to boost up the social media game and all that stuff. So it's a nice little inside look at the Valley Junior Warriors.
100%. Our sixth forward, not as recent as Billy Hartnett, but still pretty recent, was Jack Studley.
Yeah, Studley was good.
No pun intended. He was a stud.
I knew you were going there. Dad jokes. For soon to be Dad Neil Revin.
Thanks for finishing my sentence there, Jeff.
Assistant
captain in that 1920 season. The COVID or one of the COVID years, the COVID ended year, had 40 points, is now at Bowdoin College. So, if he was one of the best players, honestly, in the league that 1920 season, was a part of the All-Star team that year that faced Salem State, Pittsburgh State, and UMass Boston. I mean, right there with a team that has, 9 years of history, this is a rock solid starting six forwards.
Yeah, and a good blend.
We haven't really even thought about the other positions yet. So
I was gonna say we're gonna get to defenseman and goaltending this week, and no, or are we just gonna just offense heavy? We're gonna do an empty net, just run 10 forwards.
I want to mention some names. Games. I mean, just look at because remember, EP shows all the goalies in history of the Valley Junior Warriors junior hockey program, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of goalies dating all the way back to the beginning
62
beginning of the 2000s, right? Yeah. A few names I want to mention that I don't know if they're going to be on this list or not, but I want to at least talk about them.
So you mentioned Drew earlier.
Yeah. So the first one I want to mention is Riley Sims.
Oh, yeah.
So Riley Sims played for the Warriors in the 17-18 season, right? He's only 22 years old. So I'm trying to do math now, guys. He was really young that season. He
was a baby.
This is like trying to remember the names is hard enough for us, Jeff. Trying to remember what age they were in the years they played is even harder, right?
So let's help you. 17.
I mean, he's a 2000 birth year, so that should be pretty easy then. 17-18 season.
He was 17.
I think he was literally 17 years old. I think he turned 17 at the end, April of that season.
He was like the Kevin Wright of the Seahawks, the child of the league.
Yes. So he played 18 games for the Warriors EHL team that year. Then went and played in the NA the following 2 seasons. He's now playing college hockey just in Canada, Mount Royal University.
Mount Royal.
Yeah. Whatever you see, U Sports. That's Canadian college hockey from Canada, right? So maybe there's something COVID related in there. Tough to get in, tough to get out of Canada right now, as it has changed really over the past few years. So I don't know if he's on this list, but I wanted to at least talk about him because I remember a number of the wins that he collected in that 17-18 season. He just flat out stood on his head. So that's one guy I wanted to mention. A second guy I wanted to mention is Drew Blodgett as a true EHLP to EHL alum. Mm-hmm. Actually, you could honestly say 18U Warriors. Look at that. That 18-19 season, he played 18U Warriors. Following season, he played EHLP, got a couple games in the EHL. Following season, played the full season in the EHL, then went to college. That is a true ladder right there of development. Not sure if he's on the list again, but want to just mention him. Yep. Continuing on. Another one I want to at least mention is Nick Scarborough.
Oh, yes. Nick used to sit next to me in Northeastern.
Yeah, so I'm sure he won't love that part.
I know, I'm sorry, Nick.
His Northeastern times, he never played a game. But
hey, he was
with Caden Primo when he was there.
I was just going to say, you took the words out of my mouth. When Caden Primo and then Devin Levi are in front of you.
It's kind of tough to get the net. Yeah. So I want to give Nick credit for I mean, a really solid 16-17. He was part of that team that we mentioned
team,
before.
yeah.
I mean, a 2.53 and a 9.08. The game that he played in the playoffs against the Wizards, it was that 4-1 victory. I remember the Warriors used all three goalies in that series, and that one game he played was the one that they won. Gave up one goal in that game at a .970 save percentage. So
I was just gonna say too that he was part of a 3 goalie rotation, which I always think is the hardest to like stay fresh because you're competing with the other 2 guys, and it's a lot of pressure, and you're just not getting as many starts and as many pucks. So,
but
for him
credit
be
to
able
Andy
play like
Hines,
that-
right? I credit to
Yeah.
Andy Hines. He wanted all 3 of those goalies to get a playoff game.
Right.
Could it have maybe cost him the playoff series? I don't know, right? Like it's easy to say that hindsight's 2020 afterwards, right? But
Yeah.
obviously then went off to Northeastern. Jeff mentioned, when you're behind the likes of Primo and Devin Levi, it's kind of tough to get the net.
You may be sitting in the penalty box with me.
I would love to sit there, Jeff. I mean,
All
listen
right,
to
come
that,
on,
listen to that booming voice all day long.
Hey,
I'll
come on in,
open and
baby.
close the door.
All right. We'll get you paid.
A fourth goalie that I want to mention is Jared Bavarnik, who actually went to the Wizards after a season with the Warriors. But why I want to mention him is because this summer he played alongside a number of EHL alumni and EHL coach and Adam Hooley at the Maccabi games in Israel and won a gold medal with that team. He was actually in that gold medal game for Team USA. So, and he's at Suffolk now, heading into, I guess, technically his 5th year, because he left the Wizards halfway through that 1920 season. So, fourth name I want to mention. Again, I don't know if these goalies are on the list or not, but want to at least mention them. The last name I want to mention is Drew Michaels, coming full circle back around to our UMass Dartmouth connections. Drew played for the Warriors in the EHL in the 14-15 season. I mean, solid 269 goals against, 926 save percentage. 3 years at UMass Dartmouth. I don't know, maybe it's me. You guys can tell me how you feel. When a goalie wears a C, I think it's awesome. What do you think?
I think it's awesome, but it like throws me off still because it's just it's so like it's not traditional. It's not traditional for a goalie to wear a C, but I like it. It's a bold move.
You're never gonna see a goalie go in front of the scorer's box when the ref is explaining a call.
Start talking,
right? Like there's 2
pull the
captains
char
there.
up. Hey, tell me what happened there.
Could you imagine if the goalie leaves the net and he's having the conversation with the officials about what the call is?
I mean, who was the last like big C goalie? Marty Brodeur? Was he a captain at
No,
one point?
not Brodeur.
No.
Roberto Luongo. However, I think there's a rule in the NHL that
That's
a goalie cannot have the C on his chest. So I'm pretty sure he had the C in on the chin of his mask.
Oh,
So
That's a
he was
rule
sort
of
of
the
the
NHL?
unofficial
I did not know
captain.
that.
more history for us to look up, Jeff.
Yeah, F. Luongo. That's all I gotta say. We'll keep this a family. Sorry, Roberto.
Yeah, I'm looking
Better
it
luck
up
next
now.
time.
He had the C on his mask right by the chin.
But one reason I bring up Drew Michaels, a lot of players now are becoming coaches, and Drew was an assistant coach at the Winchendon School, assistant coach at Franklin Pierce. He's now an assistant coach in Division I hockey at the University of Vermont.
Good for him.
So it's crazy to see how many former players are becoming coaches and becoming, coaches that climb the ladder pretty quickly to already be at the Division I level. I'm assuming he's also the goalie coach at UVM, but pretty sweet. So I don't know if any of those 4 names are on the list, but I wanted to at least mention them.
Yeah, like we've been doing all summer. It's good. People that don't make the list, you still get a little airtime. You're part of the deep history of some of these teams. So
And so much history with this team. I'll talk about history. I just came across a great name here on the list.
Oh,
Do you know who
let's
this
hear it.
is?
Loading. I was just gonna ask you that earlier. I saw that and I go, is that
This is
Mario's
Michael
nephew?
Martinello, Mario's brother.
Mario's brother.
Yep.
I said nephew.
Yeah.
No, that's my brother.
Yep. Mario's
Michael
nephew, or
Martiello.
not, yeah, I'm saying nephew. Mario's brother played for the Warriors back when they were in the EJ, and then went and played at St. A's.
Damn.
So not in EHL a lot. Okay, he's not in the top 10.
Was that other team he played for? The Atlantic City what?
The Atlantic City Boardwalk Bullies.
Oh, when Atlantic
the
City
East-
had
I was
the
gonna say
ECHL
Atlantic
team.
City, Anthony. That's your territory.
So-
So ECHL team for how long?
Next time I see Michael, I'm going to ask him what it was like to play
Ask him about his time.
for the ACBB, Atlantic City
Yeah.
Boardwalk Bullies.
I'm gonna guess he probably said, I gambled a lot, and
And I'm pretty sure that was the same time they had the Trenton Titans. So that was,
damn.
I can only imagine what kind of a rivalry that was.
Right? So,
I meant to ask you that earlier. I saw that and I go, Martiello. I know that last name.
yep. God, I can mention some more names here just so we can at least
Hey,
talk about them.
Some more
There was
recent guys. Anthony mentioned Alberti earlier. Aaron Kubu
Yeah.
was another guy too.
Jonathan
Both
Lapsa from this past season.
Lapsa.
Felt like he
Nick
scored a lot of
Serafin.
big goals for them.
Nick's got some great parents. More parents we always give shout outs to. Paul and Rhonda.
Speaking of parents, Jeff, a parent with two former players is I may get this wrong. Ryan and I are in the same boat. I think his first name was Mike Tracy, but his two kids were Shane Tracy, who played for the Warriors and then went on to play at Curry College, and his brother Colin Tracy,
right?
who played for the Avs and then went on to play for the New Hampshire. Oh no, sorry, for the Plymouth State Panthers.
Love it.
And
Memory
the
don't
father,
fail me now. 32. It's still
yes, and the father Tracy.
Look at us.
I don't know if he still does, but he works for Southwest and wanted us to work on a partnership. And I said, yeah, I'm all in when teams have to start
I
flying.
do remember that. Yeah. Right.
we just don't really have to fly too often. So
Anthony, we could go from bus legs to flying legs, bud, for the showcases.
we're gonna
have a nap, a meal.
We're gonna, oh God, right? We're gonna fly Anthony up for all the showcases this year. Put him in first class.
Love it.
If you want to keep going with, Jeff mentioned and Anthony mentioned some names that aren't coming back this year. You can mention a name that is coming back this year is Dom Metro.
Yes.
I was going to ask about him. Pretty good defender.
Very good.
So where do we want to go next? We don't have any defensemen yet. It's tough because there's a few names, like there's so many names on here that just never played the EHL.
Did we pick a goalie?
We didn't pick a goalie. I just mentioned a bunch of goalies.
Yeah.
A couple of defensemen that I remember from previous seasons. This is Michael Ardagna, who played the 1920 season with the Valley. Actually, played the 1819 and 1920 seasons, and then advanced on to Skidmore. He was rock solid from Georgia for the Warriors. Also, Colin Montgomery. What year was he? 1819, 38 points as a defenseman.
Ooh.
1 year.
That could be a good one.
2 seasons at Assumption, including this past season, when Assumption won the NE10 championship.
Oh, Assumption won the NE10 championship, not SNU. Oh, we're going to hear from Sean Walsh about that. Walsh was just texting me the other day. Hello, coach. He's been listening every week, texting Commissioner Raven, as he calls him, with his thoughts and comments on the top 10.
Where do you want to go next?
I don't know. This is tough.
I would include Metro and Montgomery on this list.
Yeah, Dom's played how many games now?
Well, Dom was just this past season, and he's coming back this year.
Right.
I think he was the first guy they announced. 42 this past year.
His brother's coming back too. His brother had a bunch of injury. I'm blanking on his first name. Just as we were able to get Colin Tracy out.
Derek
Metro. Derek's coming back. I believe he missed all of last season. He's a forward though.
Got injured in the first game.
Yeah.
There you go.
He separated his shoulders.
Both played at the Hoosac School. And to bring everything full circle, former coach at the Hoosac School is Brett Heigl, who coaches the Warriors EHLP team, reigning EHLP Coach of the Year. So I would include both Dom Metro and Colin Montgomery on this list.
Give the D some love. Get him on the list. Yeah, I mean, Dom Metro is he's probably gonna eclipse the no pun intended to Maine. The 29 points that he put up last year in 42 games. If I had to put a guess, he's probably gonna be around 35, 40 points. Lock that in now.
Set the over under.
We don't gamble on the show, but
only in
it is legal in Massachusetts now.
I feel like it really speaks
can't wait
all
for
about
fantasy this
Dominic
year.
Metro's game, where you have a team with such great history, and you have someone who's still playing or who's going to return make that top 10.
Yeah, I totally agree. So that gives us 6 forwards and 2 Ds so far. Where do we go next?
That was another name I remember too.
Yep,
because he was a Rough Rider and a Warrior. He's another of those kind of flex guys.
And it was actually part, a great part of the conversation that I had with Ryan is that our coaches do such a great job working together, and they know that the number at the top of our website, which right now says 1521 up here for our total NCAA commitments. That's as a whole, right? That's not one program, 2 programs. They did that together. And Bonapane had a solid year with the Warriors. A solid 2 years, right? 18-19, he started in the EHLP, had 10 points in 7 games, went up to the EHL, put up 15 points in 40 games. Following season, got off to a good start with the Warriors, 28 points in 35 games. And then just look at the Rough Riders numbers. 10 points in 8.
He blew up.
55 this season, in the 2020-21 season. Who did he play with on a line that...
Was it with Colin Bella?
Okay, there we go.
Or might have been AJ too.
No, AJ wasn't on. AJ wasn't on this
20?
team. This is 2020-21. Bonapane, Bella, backstay, BBB line. There you go.
Triple B's.
So, does Bonapane make this list? I don't know.
If he does make this list, he's definitely going to be another player that will be on 2 lists.
Yep. He'll definitely be on the Rough Riders list. To mention a couple other names, just to get them out there. From my hometown, Scarborough, Maine.
Gotta get it in there.
Matt Henderson.
I haven't gone in there enough, honestly, in the summer. I miss our main talks. So
yeah, Matt Henderson, 1 season with the Warriors, that 16-17 year, 40 points, followed by 4 years at Curry. Matthew Burnett, 1 season with the Warriors.
The JWU now.
Played 2 seasons at Skidmore, now 2 years at Johnson & Wales. 20 points his last season at JWU. Remember this name?
Ryland Dukes. That's right. He's another trade deadline guy. He went to the Express.
Well, no, a season apiece. 1 season with the Warriors, 1 season with the Express.
Oh, okay. My bad.
So 1920 with the Warriors, 2020-21 with the Express. We mentioned Bonapane. We mentioned a bunch of goalies.
Like you said, like with guys like that, Neil, with Bonapane and Dukes, you have to attribute. You look at their EP pages and you see, like, Bonapane we went through, and he, went off when he went to the Rough Riders. Obviously, some of that growth that he had was when he was with Ryan and the Warriors, right? And same with Dukes. He started with the Warriors. Dukes is a little more, I think, even as far as his points totals, but you got to contribute that to growth and where you started, and then that helped you with your strong finish. So this day and age, we're stats heavy society, so just don't want people to judge that too harshly. You got to look at it. You got to look at it a little thicker behind the numbers too.
Let's use our lifeline, Jeff.
Our
all-time team from last year.
See if we can get 1 or 2. Oh, a lot of names that
So we have 6 forwards and 2 Ds so far. For goalies, last year we did this all-time team. Bigger list, remember. We included Riley Sims, who we mentioned. We included Sean Lincoln, who I hadn't mentioned yet.
He was
So-
on that 16-7. He was with Scarpa. He was a
Yeah,
Scarborough
he was one of the
Lincoln,
3
and-
goalies on that team.
Mhm.
And then, speaking of pipelines, went on to
Brockport.
Brockport.
We'll see you soon.
I mentioned Drew Blodgett. So there's the 3 goalies that we had on the all-time team. We're not
Drew
really-
Biddle, that was a good defenseman we added.
Yep.
He was a quick, but he was
He kind
very,
of
very good.
he came and played in that 2020-21 season because Snoo couldn't play that season, the COVID year.
Right. Yep.
Right? We mentioned a bunch of these forwards. We hadn't mentioned Brad Estrada yet. Luke Richards, it's crazy that we had him last year. Then he went to Stonehill. Then he came back and played for Team Maryland last year. So, and actually he's going to
Right.
play, as we always do, we go off track. This is my off track.
Still on track. You're still talking about Warriors-centric content.
Luke Richards played last season, came and finished with Team Maryland, and now is going to play pro. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce
What?
that first name, but it's the Swedish Division 3 league.
Good for him.
So
That's right, because once you leave, could he have gone back to college? Isn't that like a
Yeah, he
funky
coulda-
rule if you
he coulda
you
gone
can,
back.
right?
Yeah.
You just can't go back to the same school, or you can.
I think you can. It's just a matter of what your eligibility, like what year you'd be, that they have to figure that out.
Gotcha. Hey, he
Um,
said, skip it. I'm going pro. See ya.
I got some more D that we forgot to mention.
Tyler Rossi too is another one. So I forgot about Biddle and Rossi. Those are 2 good
And
candidates to buy for those last couple of spots.
And Max O'Brien, we forgot to mention as well. So
Hmm.
let's
Oh yeah.
there's you know what? This has been a great episode to at least mention a lot of guys that
Yeah.
may not make the top 10, especially with the history, right? So Drew DiGeronimo, say that 10 times fast, right?
I was gonna say this brings me back to Giacomo, the kid from the Lumberjacks, for a few
Right,
years
I
ago.
remember
Backup
that.
goalie that came in and killed us all.
He was the captain of the Warriors in that 15-16 season, followed by 4 years at Wentworth. Max O'Brien, speaking of student athletes, was an assistant captain in that 2020-21 season for the Warriors, and now plays in the NESCAC at Colby College. Continuing with the leaders, speaking of captains, Tyler Rossi was the captain of the Warriors in that 2020-21 season. He's now at SUNY Brockport. Prior to the Warriors, played for the Revolution for 2 seasons. So we have plenty of options for the final 2 spots. Question is, where do we want to go? Oh my God. I forgot the biggest
One
name
more.
so far in terms of what he did in college. Here's one of the
That
guys,
is-
George Thurston.
with SNA. Oh my God, Walshy's probably like literally slamming his desk right now.
Oh, he's gonna be so mad at me.
Idiots.
He,
Jefferson and Neal, you idiots! I can
yeah.
right now.
So George
George
Thurston
Thurston. Yep.
played for the Warriors. Actually, started with the Express at the end of the 17-18 season. Backtrack. EHLP alum with the Northern Cyclone 16-17 season. Then got some time with the EHL Express 17-18. Then Warriors 18-19. Played 2 seasons so far at SNU. 20 points his first year. 33 this past season. Are all the awards on here?
Did he win like forward of the year?
1920 he was all rookie team and rookie of the year. And now I gotta look up what he did this past season, Jeff.
I remember seeing him on a graphic that Walshy posted. Where is he on EP though? What on the Warriors list? Is he not on the?
He's
Yes.
this way down at the bottom.
Oh, there he is. 29 points because he only played 24 games. That's why. Yeah, there he is. Oh, whoops. Sorry, George. Hey,
Well-
they say save the best for last. Hey, George. Here you go. Yeah, he's
Well, she's gonna be so.
he
mad
likes
at
the
us.
ice den.
He's gonna be so mad at us for missing him
Mm-hmm.
to this point of the end.
I'll expect a text very early Thursday morning after this is posted.
I mentioned he was the rookie of the year that 1920 season. This past season, he was on the first team all conference at the NE10.
Not too shabby. Yeah, that makes one of our ads. So we have one left now.
Yes.
And a lot of candidates. Like we said, we just mentioned Rossi. We mentioned Biddle, O'Brien. Do we go one more defenseman to get 3?
Do we go with the goalie maybe?
Do we give some goalie love? And we talked about Riley Sims a lot.
I forgot about this name as well. Dominic Norris. I remember there was a stretch where the Warriors won a number of games in a shootout. And every time they won a game in a shootout, it was Dominic Norris scoring the game-winning goal in the shootout. He's
Franklin Pierce.
Now at Franklin Pierce. So we could go in so many different directions here. I'm going to cheat and go back to the all-time team. I mean, my heart says this go Matt Henderson, Scarborough, Maine.
Of course it does.
But I don't know, guys. What do you think? I
Riley
think
Sims was the one who got the playoff win, right? Against the East Coast Wizards.
that was Nick Scarpa. But Riley Sims was the kid that played when he was only 17 years old in the league. Was a stud.
Right.
I honestly think it's Max O'Brien.
I'm fine with
He
that.
played the 2020-21 season at Colby College now. Rock solid defenseman. I think it's Max O'Brien.
Smart kid too, you know. Some of these hockey guys, we love them, but when you can hit the books just as hard as you hit the ice, you're going places. So
Almost
Max
like-
O'Brien.
Are you guys good with that? It is no
Yeah.
goalies.
I think that's okay.
I think is that the first time since the 87s episode that we haven't had a goalie?
Well,
Yeah, we've gone a little goalie heavy recently, but
put it this way, Anthony. We've touched on this a few times.
our next week's episode is going to be all goalies.
Next week.
Love your little flyers.
Like, just to give the people at home a little preview, right? Because we're going to spend enough time talking about the Joey Savells, Ziegman Moreau's, Alex Ochterbeck, Austin Kelly. Like we're going to spend plenty of time talking about
General Patton, Kyle Patton.
Yeah, all those forwards. Adam Beauvais, Connor McDonnell. Like there's
you got it right. There you go.
Look at Oleg Potemkin. There's Gabe Chuckman. There's so many forwards to talk about.
Yep.
And if we don't
Like
have any
if
we don't have any goalies this week, we have just to name a few.
We might have multiple Hensons next week, by the
Brendan
way.
Brawley,
Henson,
Sam
Drew Henson.
Keeney, Joseph Henson, Drew Henson. You love Thomas McLaren. Remember him, Jeff?
Yeah. One of the best backup goalies we've ever had. Was, I think, undefeated that year they went to the Frozen Finals. It was like 19-0.
Yeah. Joe Giacobo, Trevor Machucci, Jakub Kubik. I mean, there's so many different goalies that we could name next week.
So this week we had to cool it.
We had to cool it this week.
Next week's an all goalie episode.
But this is why, Tom Williams is going to be a huge resource for us next week. So
yeah.
Are we good with it? Are we good with this list?
I'd say so. Rattle it off, Kmish.
7 forwards and 3D. Garrett Gentoli, Jimmy Pelton, Paul Budasov, Matt Wiesner, Billy Hartnett, Jack Studley, Dominic Metro, Colin Montgomery, George Thurston, Max O'Brien. It's a good list.
I like it.
These top 10s aren't getting any easier, too, by the way, just so everyone knows. They're only getting harder. So
and I think we found out that the longer the team has been in, almost is the harder.
Oh, no doubt.
I think so.
No doubt about it.
I was in between about it before, but no. This week I showed it.
Well, that'll do it for the Warriors. Thanks again to Ryan McGrath for coming on the podcast this week. I know their training camp starts this Sunday night, so they're excited to get things going. Brett Heigl, reigning EHLP Coach of the Year. Both teams, I should say, EHL and EHLP, looking to get some revenge for the way that the postseason ended for both teams this past year. So, thanks, guys, and we'll do the Little Flyers next week.
See you in Philly.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.